Hey, what is going on, Guardians? TBL here, and amidst the swirl of community feedback to Destiny 2, a very quick and quiet news story came out about a month or so ago about data mining of some information within the PC games files that hinted towards the return of the Crimson Days event. If you'll remember, that was an event back in Destiny 1. It took place primarily in PvP. It was a doubles event that was a pretty fun game mode. It had its own shaders and ornaments and stuff tied to it, and it looks like that might be returning in some capacity to Destiny 2. We've recently gotten a lot more Datamined information about the Crimson Days event. This is coming to us from Reddit user Ginzer over on the Destiny the Game subreddit. He did a little bit more data mining and has come up with some very interesting bits of information, possibly pointing to the return of the Crimson Days event. And over the course of this video, we're going to be going over everything he had in his post, which of course does include spoilers for this event, so consider that your warning. Let's go ahead and get started. In his digging through the PC client, it looks like he found files linking to some of the rewards that you'll be working towards during the Crimson Days event. And indeed, just like the previous event, it's all going to be mostly cosmetic rewards. But it is going to be tied to Eververse much in the same way that the Dawning is. And in his work, he found some graphics and some in-game scripts that might be shining a little bit of light on what we'll be doing during the Crimson Days event. One of them goes off like this. Guardians honor the unbreakable bonds they forge on and off of the battlefield by competing in the Crucible's Crimson Days Festival. First, follow the rose petals in the tower to Tess Everest. She has something for you. Meaning you'll be starting off the Crimson Days event very much like the Dawning, going and speaking with Tess Everest, where you'll be claiming your initial free Crimson Days engram. Now that right there tells us a little bit about the event in and of itself, that some of these rewards, these cosmetic rewards, there's going to be ships, emotes, sparrows, stuff like that, is probably going to be tied to a special engram that you'll be able to earn by playing in the Crimson Days event, or probably by buying it from Eververse, which of course I'd imagine wouldn't go down too well with the community in the current state that it's in. But Ginzer made note that there's also PvP and raid content linked to this event. And then he listed out quite a few scripts that talk about some of the activities you'll be diving into. So we're going to go into all of those before we talk about some of the rewards and, well, personally how I feel about some of this stuff. Some of the in-game scripts go like this. Speak to Shax in the tower to learn more about his love for Crimson Days. As boisterous as ever, Shax speaks warmly and loudly of Crimson Days, and of his challenge to Guardians who choose to celebrate with him in the Crucible. Shax congratulates you and your Crimson Bond on battles hard fought and victories hard won during Crimson Days, and offers a handsome reward with his inspiring words. And then you'll have some objectives, like completing Crimson Days Crucible matches, completing Crimson Days matches to earn holiday-themed rewards, competing in the Crimson Doubles game mode, and to win a Crimson Days match in sudden death, seemingly confirming the return of at least the Doubles playlist within the context of the Crimson Days event. Doubles, of course, being one of the many PvP game modes that seem to kind of get lost in translation between Destiny 1 and Destiny 2. And from what we learned of this data dump, a lot of the rewards that are tied to this event are very much in the same vein as the Dawning. You'll be getting emotes, ghost shells, ornaments, shaders, mods, transmat effects, and of course sparrows. And the Crimson Days event does have its own special engram tied to it. And based off some of the descriptions, it's going to be more of what you're used to in Destiny 2. There's even apparently data for a ghost that tracks the number of kills you get in Crimson Days. And the data even references Tyra Karn in one of its scripts, saying, Crimson Days are a celebration of partnership and commitment. As the Vanguard's leading archivist of epic legends, Tyra Karn has a certain fondness for the holiday. Meaning we might have a quest or two that takes us to speak with her at the farm. Good, because there's really not much other reason to go there. And that, Guardians, is pretty much it for the hard news covering the possible return of Crimson Days. Personally, I do believe it's fairly likely that this event is coming back, but it is very important to note that all of this information, all of this data mine stuff is from before the Dawning came out, so from before the big, massive kind of outcry, community outcry against the Eververse started. So it's very interesting to see that the Dawning event and the Crimson Days event share quite a few features, including a seemingly heavy reliance upon the Eververse store, because it's very likely that these Crimson Days events that you can earn by going in and playing Crimson Days, completing the quests and whatnot for Shaxx and like other people in the tower, it's very likely that another way to get these things is going to be the Eververse store, where you can just go and spend Bright Dust, or at least it was. I wouldn't be too surprised if this event got delayed a little bit and Bungie reworked some of it so that it wasn't quite so, it didn't feature Eververse quite so much. I mean, because man, could you imagine if this event were like to start this week and it were to have a heavy focus on Eververse after everything we've seen for the past month? Man, that would not go over well, and I would say some of the outcry would definitely be warranted. But other than that, I'm happy to see the doubles playlist come back, even if it is just for this event. I still don't think that all of those previous Destiny 1 playlists should be gone. Stuff like Skirmish, stuff like Rumble, all of that stuff should be coming back. And I think that Mayhem over these past couple of weeks really put a spotlight on Guardians wanting something different in the Crucible environment. Certainly, I'm in the camp that wants a better, more fun, more chaotic sandbox that affords more power to players. And Crimson Doubles was always some mode that did that. If you remember Crimson Doubles back in Destiny 1, it was a doubles game mode where when one person on your team died, when you became the last Guardian standing, you basically got a super powered boost. You went Super Saiyan God on these people and got like reduced cooldowns, better damage resistance, better overall damage. It was crazy. It was super duper fun. And I'm very happy to see that game mode coming back. But I will say, I am a little bit worried about some of the rewards tied to it and their relation to the Eververse store. Like I said before, we're going to get the usual stuff. We're going to get sparrows, we're going to get ghost shells, we're going to get special ornaments for certain exotics, and from this data leak, it looks like the exotics in question are going to be the Prometheus Lens, the Telesto, the Graviton Lance, the Sweet Business, and the Wardcliff Coil. Then, of course, we've got the usual Crimson Days shaders, which are all, some sort of shade of red. And then we've got some interesting looking emblems and whatnot that I showed off here. And I'll put it up again so you guys can see it. But probably a couple of new emblems and a couple of new symbols, for the game modes and different stuff like that. So overall, a decent holiday event. But I wouldn't be too surprised if it got delayed so that they could rework parts of it so that, it doesn't send you running to the Eververse store like the Dawning did. That event came to a close today, and as of the time of this posting, I'm making this video like maybe 2-3 hours before reset, still haven't gotten any Dawning armor on my Warlock. And I really hope that's not going to be the case with something like Crimson Days, and I do believe Bungie should probably take the time to revamp and rethink the way they handle some of these events. There definitely needs to be less of a focus on RNG drops from engrams that you can earn like maybe once or twice from a quest line over the course of the event, and then have to go to Eververse to either buy it or do something else for it. And they should focus more on earnable rewards. I still say to this day that it kind of blows my mind. I really wish that for the Dawning, with the daily gifts, I thought that was a really interesting way to get people to come back and play every single day. The rewards were a little bit lackluster. I think if they would have put all of the rewards from the special Dawning engrams into those daily event rewards, that would have been worthwhile. And I still say that if you completed all of the rewards, all of the daily rewards from for all of the NPC characters, then at the end of that, you should have gotten a full set of Dawning armor. That takes a lot of work. It takes several days of playing the game. You basically had to play it almost every day of the event to get all of that stuff done. And if completing all of those would have given you a full set of Dawning gear, that would have been absolutely worth it, but that's not what happened there, and I do believe that was a real missed opportunity because it left some of the most desirable items from the Eververse during the Dawning up to chance in RNG, and that's what people hate about the Eververse store. That's what people don't like about it. And I get the feeling that that was going to be very much the same with the Crimson Days event. So I'm really hoping that with the feedback Bungie's gotten from this previous live event, that they're going to be changing the way this one works just a little bit. So that's a little bit more fair to players and a little bit less reliant upon microtransactions in the Eververse store. But there you go. If you're psyched about Crimson Days, if you love that game mode from back in Destiny 1, it's probably coming back. Again, none of this is confirmed, but it is all data mined from the PC game client. At least as far as I know. Somebody, I suppose, could have gone through the effort of faking all of these pictures and all of these lines and whatnot, but that'd probably be a lot more work than it's worth. But anyways, that's it for this one, Guardians. Be sure to let me know what you all think down in the comment section below. Are you psyched to hear that Crimson Days is returning? Are you surprised that it's very much like the Dawning event? Do you think that Bungie's going to go through and make some changes now that the Dawning event has received a fair amount of criticism, I would say? Be sure to let me know down in the comment section below. That's it for this one, guys. Thanks so much for watching. As always, I'm TheBlackLink. You Guardians, stay frosty.